Be moving on to our other stories that we are following for you on this Monday. Of course, we're talking about that bipartisan housing bill. We heard a lot about that last week.
Yeah. So House Speaker, President Trump said he's not signing it, refuses to do so. But now we're hearing today that House Speaker Mike Johnson set to send this major housing bill to President Donald Trump's desk today. And it's going to start a 10-day window during which he will have to decide whether he's going to sign it or not. And if he doesn't, it will automatically become law.
So what exactly does this all mean? We have Sarah Brundage joining us via Zoom. She is the president and CEO of the National Association of Affordable Housing Lenders. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be with you all.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, break this all down because the bill is aimed at boosting housing supply and lowering costs. We've seen the housing market here in the Phoenix metro area, if you will, and surrounding just boom. I mean, the prices of houses and even just rent is astronomical if you ask a lot of people who live here. What could this bill potentially do?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the most significant federal housing bill in nearly 2 decades, and the fact that it passed out of Congress with such tremendous bipartisan support is huge. Now, look, when it comes to addressing shortage of affordable and available rental and housing supply for owner-occupants, there is no silver bullet. We need many layers of solution at the federal level as well as state and local, and this bill is an incredible first step into getting into that work. The 21st Century Road to Housing includes nearly 50 housing provisions, largely centered around strengthening and improving key housing programs at HUD and USDA. Those are the federal housing agencies and also the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You know, you were just talking about fire, so I do want to call out some of the key provisions in this bill. It allows for more banks to make investments into affordable housing, community development. It strengthens the HOME program, which is the only federal block grant program specifically for affordable housing supply. It modernizes rural housing programs. It cuts red tape and streamlines environmental reviews for homes constructed with HUD and USDA funds. And for the first time ever, it authorizes the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. This is the primary federal program based at HUD that supports long-term rebuilding and recovering after federal disasters. So again, nearly 50 provisions, and they will get us on our way, but a lot more work ahead for sure.
I thought I read something about this or heard something about this, and please break it down if it's correct. There are so many big companies that buy housing and then they go ahead and redo them and they outbid people like you and me who can afford it maybe. But they outbid people, they buy these homes, they fix them up or they build something new and then they sell them for a very large profit. Is there anything in this bill that would maybe help everyday regular citizens fight against these people or outbid them or keep them from doing so?
Yeah, absolutely. This was an interesting twist in the bill's development, and it was something that the president of the White House did push to be included and was negotiated in the process of the bill. And the bill does take steps to limit what we often refer to as large institutional investors. It limits their ability to purchase homes that could go to homeowners without constraining the ability to build new homes that could add supply. So again, you're talking about looking at institutional investors who are, as you described, purchasing large swaths of what we often refer to as single-family housing that could otherwise be owner-occupied.
So when we talk about these big bills, I think a lot of people are like, well, how is this going to actually affect me? But this one, feels like right out of the gate, some of these first-time home buyers and folks that maybe have been waiting, this could potentially help them in a short amount of time once this bill does in fact pass.
It certainly gets right to some of the core issues in strengthening federal housing programs that serve communities and really specifically for affordable housing. There is quite a bit of work to be done after a bill is signed into law, though, in terms of implementing it, which again is where the Federal Housing Agency really comes into play to make sure that this law turns into real actions.
Okay, so if the president doesn't do anything, doesn't sign it, doesn't say anything within 10 days, this will automatically become law as long as Congress is in session. So, I mean, it seems like as long as he's sitting quietly, they're going to do whatever they can to get this signed. or to get this
That's
passed.
right.
Excuse me.
It's bipartisan, passed out of both the Senate and the House with large bipartisan support. So both parties have already said yes. So now it's just time to let it become law, and so we can really get to work on the housing supply that families across the country are waiting on.
I will say, I think it's really nice to see the bipartisanship.
I was just going to say that.
It's, especially when it comes to something that affects every single person here.
That's right. And I think it shows that affordable housing is a unifying issue. It's a winning bipartisan issue. I mean, you're talking about Senators Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren, who, I think this was a surprising alliance and one that we are all celebrating, as well on the House side, Representatives French Hill and Maxine Waters. So again, it shows that voters and everyday ordinary Americans all agree that housing is too expensive. It's something that renters and homeowners in urban, suburban, and rural communities are feeling, and Congress took steps to focus on it.
Awesome. Yeah, and just to kind of, I guess, jump on, obviously we have the midterms coming up. Everybody, both sides of the aisle, want to be able to come to their voters and be like, look what we've done. This is something that they've all come together to get this done, which is something we haven't seen in quite some time.
That's right, and it just underscores once again, the outcome needs to be that the bill becomes law.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for your advice. Goodness gracious, it's a Monday. Thanks for the information and your time. We'll have to have you back on, hopefully, when it does become law.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Sarah,
you.
real quick, before we let you go, is there a place where folks can get more information about what you do? Is there like a website or something?
Sure, yeah. I represent the National Association of Affordable Housing Lenders, and our website is NAAHL.org, and we share news alerts of all the kind of major momentum with affordable housing in Washington.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you again. We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
You bet.